Hi everybody and welcome to the Games Tavern Happy Hour. I'm trying a slightly different setup here, so sorry if we hit any tech issues out the gate. But I think it should be actually a pretty interesting show today because there's been a lot of news and a whole bunch of other really interesting stuff going on. So if you aren't aware, this week was the what are they calling it? The D&D 2020 celebration. So we're going to cover that for a little bit. We're going to go into a piece of news that I'm particularly excited about with the upcoming Hero Quest re-release, effectively, and then go into a review of Icewind Dale before the break. And then afterwards, we're going to come back and we're going to be joined by Anna and Shannon from The Heist, and we're going to talk to them about their experiences there. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you guys want to talk about sort of tangentially, off of the things that I'm going to mention, because I cannot cover everything for Celebration. There's a lot of stuff there. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know. I'm going to be monitoring this and making sure I'm keeping up with you guys. So big thank you out there for Tabletop Audio. They're the guys who kicked out that music that we heard at the very beginning there. And I put the wrong track in, so my mistake. But it's still very nice. I had it for a epic battle scene that I was using and just had the wrong one up. So my mistake, guys. But they do some great stuff. It's all, if you're using a virtual tabletop, I believe Roll20 actually uses some of their stuff, and it's all free to use. They also have a Patreon, so if you want to support them, you absolutely can do that. I recommend it. We're doing it. They're a great team. Otherwise, also please check us out on our Discord. Link to that is right there. And you can join up with the cast, the crew, all of the people that are following us, and just talk all sorts of weird, nerdy stuff about Dungeons & Dragons, role-playing games, tabletop war games, video games sometimes, or just general life. We have a whole bunch of great conversations in there. So we'd love to see you in the Discord. Follow the link, and we'll see you there. So we're going to go ahead and get started up here with the first thing of news is going to be, and wait for it, there we go. Is going to be the D&D celebration that happened this weekend. It is a really cool time. If anybody had a chance to catch that, it's really, really fun. There was, I want to say, a dozen or so live play games that happened with some pretty big names. The Viva La Dirt guys are the only ones that I actually ended up catching just because I've seen a lot of their stuff on like Facebook and YouTube. I didn't know that they did the D&D live streaming, and it's some fun stuff. But the stuff I was really interested in were the panels that featured people like Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins and everybody else that's behind the scenes talking about Dungeons & Dragons. And one of the big stuff that was coming on there was they kept doing reveals for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming in the pipeline in that book, which is going to be coming out in November. So we still have a couple of months to figure out what we're most excited about there. But one of the big things is that psionics are coming in. They're going to be featured heavily in Tasha's. There's a couple psionic spells that they're included in there. And the one that I thought was the most interesting, just because of what it's going to end up actually, I think, playing with, rules-wise and mechanic-wise, is something called Tasha's Mind Whip. It's like a lot of other spells. It has a one where the target has to make an intelligence save, or a charisma save, or whatever the other spells say. Otherwise, you'll suffer 3d6 psychic damage, and then this is where it gets interesting. They lose a reaction till their next turn, and then even on their next turn, they can only move or attack or use a bonus action. So it's kind of a less intense version of stun, and I'm actually really intrigued to see what kind of playing around with this base mechanic are they going to be doing with that. Because Tasha's Mind Whip, I'm not a huge fan of psionics myself. It seems like magic by a different way. By a little bit extra work there, but I know the community really likes psionics. They've been around effectively forever, so I'm really interested to see what other cool spells they're going to have coming out of there. Different things you're going to be able to play with. Moving along with the things that they've previewed in Tasha's, or coming out of with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, is that every class is going to be getting new class features. This is going to be really interesting. Some of the simple ones are things like being able to swap cantrips for wizards. When you end up going in and doing, whenever you level up, you can start swapping your cantrips around, as opposed to being stuck with the same 3 or 4 cantrips that you picked at the very beginning. So it's going to allow you to actually do a lot more versatility and utility kind of casting stuff, because Prestidigitation, while it's really, really useful, Dancing Lights might not be at level 6. So you can start playing around with any of the other cantrips that you want to do every time you level up. It's a really cool time. There's another one that's going to allow you to swap your fighting style. If you're a fighter, ranger, or a paladin, they're also including a couple additional fighting styles in the book for those classes. So if you started out as a protection paladin and then some really cool like role play moment happened and now you're just really aggressive, you can actually reflect that in your character's development and actually do some really cool rules influenced or role play influenced rules changes, which I'm a big fan of role play sort of guiding where the table goes. So I think that this is going to be a really cool thing for them to be introducing. And then last one that I have highlighted here, again, there was a lot of things that they kicked out for things that are coming out in Tasha's. The last one that I have for class features is sorcerers, warlocks, rangers, and bards being given more flexibility with the spells that they have. Once on a long rest, they're going to be given the opportunity to actually swap out a spell that they know for a different spell within their lists. So I think that's going to open up a whole lot of really interesting dynamics. I'm not sure exactly what the methods are for getting these, whether these are just a straight up class feature or these are things they have to unlock sort of like a feat, but it'll be an interesting way to see where this goes. So if out there in the internet world, if any of you have a particular one of those 3 class features that I mentioned that are going to be increasing the flexibility of how we play our characters, that's going to come out in Natasha's book, if one of those is your favorite, let me know in the comments there, and I'll see which ones are the most popular. If there's something in the class features that I missed, because I know I didn't hit everything, and there's something that you're really interested in, let me know, and we'll talk about that on stream too. Otherwise, the whole D&D celebration was a really cool kind of ARG, alternate reality kind of thing going on there, where they had a really neat map up that then you could poke around. It's a map of Icewind Dale, and it allows you to poke around, see some of the local, or some of the important localities, like small towns, or any of the local landmarks, and see these really cool things. Some of them, it wasn't just a lore dump, some of them actually had a sort of a puzzle or a riddle behind them that you had to play around with to unlock some really cool things. These were things that ranged from a cup of inspired hot chocolate, that if you have it and you use it on a short rest, if you spend or if you use one of your hit dice to recover some hit points, you gain an additional 1d6 hit points because your character is enjoying a cup of hot cocoa, which I think is pretty cool. My favorite of these things that they teased, though, was a tiny gelatinous cube that can serve as your familiar. I believe they called it the gelatinous ice cube, and the art makes it look like it's about the size of something that would fit around a human skull, so probably a foot by a foot. It's tiny. It's really cool. It gives you the rules for it are baked into it. It's I believe the Ublex spawn. It's just also ties with the familiar rules, so it's kind of a really cool way to do that. The last 2 things that I really want to highlight for D&D Celebration, as far as actual teasers that they put out, or I guess reveals, because it's not even teasers at this point, were things that Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins were talking about in their Dungeons and Designers panel. One of them was talking about the sidekicks and what you can actually do with the idea of sidekicks. For anybody out there who's kind of uninitiated to that, doesn't really know what they are, they're kind of like hirelings from old school Dungeons and Dragons, where you could have a bunch of them and you could go through a dungeon and you have a whole bunch of people to help you, kind of like squires. The sidekicks they became, for 5th edition at least, they became a big deal in the Essentials kit, because it allowed, the Essentials kit was focused on being able to actually, or allowed you to play with 1 person or 2 people in the party, and you don't really have a really well-rounded party at that point. So if you have just a fighter, well, you kind of need some magic in there. So you can hire yourself a wizard sidekick who will come along and help cast some spells and do some other really cool stuff there. They won't be doing anything that's going to be stealing the thunder of your character, but they'll be a really nice kind of, they'll Robin to your Batman. So I think it's going to be a really cool way to see where that goes. I'm interested. One of the things that Jeremy Crawford was mentioning was that the sidekicks are a sort of a reaction that they weren't expecting in the community, was that a lot of people actually really like the sidekick characters and are interested in running them as their own, actually kind of mainline PC. So that's going to be applicable. You're going to be able to do that with the information that's in Tasha's. So What that basically means is Tasha's is going to have, I believe they said 3, but it could be more, 3 new whole classes for the people to be able to play with. They might be a little bit simpler rules, and you can drop them in, drop them out. So if you have a campaign and your friend stops by who's not in your campaign, it's like, hey, why don't you take this character? It's a simple learn to play. You know, you don't need to know all this other really cool stuff. It's a simpler character sheet. You can jump in, have a good session, and then walk away, and we won't even it won't be causing a whole lot of logistical headaches there. So I think it's going to be a really cool thing to see what kind of interesting character builds people are going to be able to use with the sidekicks. And then the final thing in the sessions or in the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford panel that I'm most interested in is guidance for running a session 0. Now I know 6 months ago we did a Games Tavern happy hour that's where we went over what we think makes a good session 0. But hearing it from other perspectives is always really useful. And in the panel they actually mentioned, I believe it was Jeremy Crawford mentioned that they've never actually discussed how to run a session 0 as a 5th edition Dungeon Master. So what you'll be able to do is, as opposed to just listening to random people on the internet about how they run session 0s, you can listen to the actual designers talking about the things that they believe are important for you to bring up in a session 0, and kind of ways to flesh out the character relations or help people build their characters, set expectations for the campaign, all the things that you need to do in a session 0. Now new DMs are going to have some cool guidance actually from Wizards of the Coast themselves to help you to make a successful session 0 and build your campaign off on a good start. So there was a lot of stuff that came out in the D&D Celebration news, whether it was just actual teasers or reveals for the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, some insights into Icewind Dale, which just released, or just really cool gameplay footage from a bunch of the celebrity games. So I highly recommend checking them out. They are now on Dungeons & Dragons YouTube channel, which I'll go ahead, there we go. Go ahead and link that in the description there, or in the chat there. So you can check that out. I highly recommend it if you have some time to kill. You can browse around. There's a bunch of really good videos, and it's basically how I've been spending a lot of my day. So there's some really cool stuff on there. So moving on out of the Icewind Dale, or out of the Dungeons & Dragons Celebration, and into something that I'm personally very excited about, is the new Hero Quest has been announced. Let's see if I can, yes. So here we go. Hero Quest has been re-announced. If you are, well, if you play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you probably came into, or a lot of people come into role-playing through 5th edition. Hero Quest is how a lot of people came into it about 30 years ago. It's a great gateway, or it was a great gateway game to move up from like board games all the way up to full-fledged role-playing games. Because what you do in Hero Quest is, again, it came out about 1990. It's about 30 years old, and they haven't released one in quite a while. Everybody gets one of 4 characters, whether they're a barbarian, they're an elf, they're a dwarf, or they're a wizard. And you go into a dungeon and you do sword and sorcery, trying to stop something evil from happening. There's a giant gargoyle who's the big bad, and there's a evil wizard who's controlling it all. It's very, very by the numbers fantasy, and it's kind of one of the things that helped get me hooked onto role-playing as a hobby. So I'm super excited to see this coming out. And let's see if I can go ahead and go over, where is it? Here we go, pictures. So I'm going to move us over to a full screen. Here we go. Now we can actually see this. So this is the new Dungeons, or the new Hero Quest box set. It was announced at noon today, and it looks very faithful to the original. The box art back there is in fact not the original box art. That is the new box art that they're coming out with, but it looks almost identical to the original box art. A couple other things, here we go, we can go ahead and show that art here for you. So you have a big barbarian fighting goblins and undead. In the background you have your dwarf, you have your wizard all fighting all sorts of things. And in the far right hand corner you see the evil wizard doing some kind of bad stuff, probably magic, and casting a curse on the land. So, here we go. One of the greatest things about Hero Quest, though, was actually how it did its miniatures. Here we go. These are the 2 big important miniatures to be looking at. This is the Gargoyle, which if you're a Games Workshop fan, The original gargoyle was a PG rated bloodthirster, effectively, and it was sculpted in a very 1990s sculpting style. So it was not particularly good by today's standards, but it was cool. The modern sculpts here is what you're looking at are the gargoyle and the evil wizard. I believe they're calling him a witch king, I believe is what they're calling him. But it's just it's basically a lich, is what Mr. Smithwick's saying. Yeah, it's a undead wizard guy. Really cool stuff out there. And the miniatures themselves are going to be nice to paint up. Let's go ahead and get back to here. Here we go. Hey. So I'm personally really excited about this. It's a very, very modular game. There's a quest book in there. You can just make that out in the picture, where it's basically these are the campaign rules. These are what you're going to end up playing through. It has probably a dozen or so scenarios if the original book isn't going to be anything to go by. And it's just honestly going to be a really, really good time. I am thoroughly convinced it is going to be, it's going to get funded, because they're not actually doing a traditional pre-order. It's being put out by Hasbro, and they're doing kind of a pre-order Kickstarter kind of thing. It's kind of weird. But if they get $1 million worth of pre-orders as of midnight on 6 November, they will make it. And looking at the sheet right now, they have 656,000 pre-order dollars already. They're probably going to make it by the end of the week. There are, and I'm going to go ahead and link this website there for you. If you are interested in Hero Quest, check it out. There are 2 tiers to be buying in. One of them is a $100 tier, and that'll get you the box and 5 or 4 alternate sculpts for the miniature or for the heroes, and an additional hero. I believe that they're calling him. What is this one? Is Sir Ragnar. It's not a wizard, a barbarian holding a torch and wearing sort of ratty clothing, but he's all looks almost like a killer hobo. It's a very interesting kind of sculpt. But then the higher tier is the Mythic tier. It's $150. You're going to get everything that you get in the original one, a whole bunch of 3D terrain that's like bookshelves, tables, treasure chests, thrones, rats and skulls, of course, because it was a Games Workshop product at one point, so you need to have skulls. But then, so you get all that stuff you get in the Heroic tier, but then you also get two modules, effectively, that were originally expansions to the original Hero Quest. So one of them is Return of the Witch Lord, so not Witch King, Witch Lord, my mistake there. And then the second one is Kellar's Keep, where you go and fight another kind of big bad gargoyle kind of thing. So it's a really cool game. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you can chase down an original copy. I've looked at it, and it's there. You can't get them for less than like $300. So this is a good way to do it, unless you really love 1990s sculpts. So check that out. Link is still there. Perfect. And we can go ahead and move on to the next thing. It is hang on. Sorry, I'm also working the tech. There we go. Okay, that's gone down. Yeah, Killer Hobo, right? That's gonna be a good time. So if you guys are excited about Hero Quest, let me know. Otherwise, we're just gonna move on down to the next item of news, which is, as I pull up my show notes, there are some new WizKids pre-orders that are up. There's one that is, I think, everyone kind of needs in their life. It will be a here we go. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, tech is just not cooperating with me today. All right, here we go. So this big old dragon is the largest dragon that they've ever made. It is Arviaturus, the gargantuan white dragon. Arviaturus is a good friend of ours from the Icewind Dale setting, which apparently actually has some pretty cool Easter eggs on it when you actually, if you game in it and you encounter the big old dragon whose name I'm going to butcher if I say it again. So keep an eye out if you're a big fan of other previous things that happened in the Icewind Dale settings, like the Dritz novels. So this dragon is huge. It's 7.5 inches tall is what they're saying. Nose to tail is 16.5 inches, and it's got a 17-inch wingspan. It is the largest dragon WizKids has ever made, if you don't count the one that was there's a dude riding that dragon. It's a dark elf being dark elfy with a giant white dragon. It's fantastic. I'm super excited. But if you don't count the dragon I don't know why I'm pointing at my wall. I don't have it, but like the dragon plaque that they had. This is a monstrously large, the largest dragon they've ever made. Larger than the Sapphire Dragon or the Chandelier Dragon that they made a few weeks ago that they announced. So it's really, really cool. It's up for, it's just shy of $100, $99.99. And you can go and pre-order that right now at that link. And it is available, or it will release in January. So that's a miniature that everybody needs, and I just cut us back to here so I can look at the tech again. So that's a miniature that if you're going to be running games and you need a giant white dragon, that's the place to go. The next item is slightly more niche and is exactly the kind of thing that I want. Hopefully that's something that's... the Stephanator. Hey, Stefan. Isn't the rider dead and the dragon just carries the corpse around? I don't believe so. You do encounter this dragon in Icewind Dale in the book, or you can encounter them in the campaign there. And I believe that the rider is actually alive. I could double check that. I was skimming the book pretty fast at that point, but it should be interesting. I don't know a whole lot about the old school Icewind Dale stuff, but it might be a cool cameo. But something else out there that I am super excited about is they've released something called the Eye and Hand of Vecna. If you know who Vecna is, a big bad lich lord of the Forgotten Realms, and you also have, like me, a burning desire to have all sorts of weird curio nonsense hanging around your house, this is the item for you. It is a mummified hand and an eyeball and a bell jar. How great is that? I'm super excited about seeing that come out. So that is the Eye and Hand of Vecna. It is exactly what it looks like. It is a mummified hand it's apparently Vecna's hand holding Vecna's eyeball, like he plucked it out himself. Is the dragon with the dead rat? Okay. There we go. Thank you, Shalrath. So it's just a really cool piece of decoration that I think would be really, really cool to have in my in the studio here. It is also on pre-order right now. It's $129.99, again, releasing in January. And we're coming up on Halloween season right now, so I'm personally running around like, ooh, I need this for my condo. Ooh, I need that for my condo. But this is officially licensed D&D nonsense to have in my condo. Yeah, I need more of that. So good. Get back there. All right. So that's some really cool stuff out there. It looks like people are excited about some of it. So I'm excited to see that I'm bringing some cool stuff people care about. So if there's any other, that's going to be it for the news. We don't have a whole lot of news today because wanted to go into a Icewind Dale review, just what I'm thinking of it as a dungeon master and kind of value for money kind of thing. So if there's anything out there that I've missed, feel free to sound off in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and move forward. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Hey, there we go. So now we're talking about Icewind Dale. You can see because I put the art up. So Mac is selling a kidney. Yes, I need new stuff. Always stuff. So Icewind Dale is... anybody out there who doesn't know what it is, I believe everybody in the chat should know what this is. But it is the brand new book released a week ago. It takes place in Icewind Dale. It is the north of Luskan, north of the Spine of the World Mountains. It takes place in the frozen tundra. And one of probably my single favorite thing about getting ready and talking about the book is the disclaimer that they include themselves in the very beginning of the book. I'm going to read this verbatim for you because it's fantastic. It's disclaimer. The windswept tundra of Icewind Dale is the true test of one's mettle. Here, it's survival of the fittest. Don't be fooled by the reindeer with the glow-in-the-dark antlers or the tasty knucklehead trout, including the friendlier and more northerly knucklehead variety. Icewind Dale is the frostbitten end of the world. You can't spell dice without ice, my friend, and the Frost Maiden is not some demon prince, vampire, lich, beholder, crime lord, or archdevil. She's a god, and a cold-hearted one at that. Yeah, so that is pretty much, if you only take away one thing about the entire review here, I love this, and it's fantastic, and that is pretty much everything I'm looking for in a horror survival game for Dungeons & Dragons. It has a little bit of humor in there with the knucklehead trouts living they're friendly and more northern, so they're clearly friendly knuckleheads. but it also has the, oh gosh, this is going to be horrible, this is going to be doom and gloom, we have to fight a god. And you do. It's that. So one of the, or a couple of the really, really big themes that are coming out of Icewind Dale, which I don't really believe they've played with a whole lot. They've done gothic horror in Curse of Strahd, which is, spooky vampires walking around in not Transylvania and drinking people's blood. It's great. I love it. This is not that kind of horror. This is much more survival horror, psychological horror, and just isolation and oppressiveness. This is a bleak campaign to play through, probably. I haven't played it yet, but I've read through it, and it's, they kind of hit you over the head a lot with this is an unpleasant place to be. Horror and isolation are themes throughout the entire campaign. So if you're going to be running this, be prepared for your players to be overly paranoid about every single NPC you introduce to them, every single piece of treasure that you give them, every single clue that comes their way. Yes, it is less Nightmare on Elm Street, more The Thing. I believe in the back of the book they actually cite The Thing as one of their inspirations for it, and I fully believe it. The Thing, The Mountains of Madness, The Shining, and a couple other horror properties there. It is, it's cold and it's brutal. I highly recommend checking this out if you're into that kind of setting. Again, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm fully aware of that. A lot of people like games where you have a lot more player agency in here. This is not going to... This has a lot of player agency, but this also has a whole lot of... You died because you wandered off in a snowstorm. Have fun. So overall, the bottom line here of the review is 100% I recommend everybody who's running games pick this up and read it. Even if you're not going to be running Icewind Dale, I do recommend picking it up because some of the stuff that's in the book are going to be very, very useful ideas or... things that you should check out as ideas you can incorporate, things that you can tweak, and encounters you can use in your own games, even if you're not running around trying to stop Auriel the Frostmaiden. As far as people who are only players, whether it's valuable to them, I honestly don't know. I'm approaching this from a DM perspective. It could be cool, however, a lot of it would be spoilers if you're looking through it and you might be playing in the campaign. So take that with a grain of sand, or grain of salt. As you go. So some things that I really, really like about this book there are 4 things that I'm picking out here. Probably the first one is it's focused on milestone leveling instead of experience. That's key. That's one of my big things that I like for role-playing games is level up as the story dictates it, as opposed to you've killed enough goblins, congratulations, you're the next level. And this is a very story-driven campaign. So having that be the focus, the central focus, is a really good idea. One of the cool things that's going to come up immediately in player creation are the idea of player secrets. It's a lot of parties nowadays end up, and even in the old days too, would group together, and the only thing that you can trust, even if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, you can rely on the people behind you. You have your 4 or 5 friends who are gonna, you can stick with through thick and thin, and you trust them. You know everything about them, and you guys are a well-honed fighting machine. That kind of thing would be problematic in a horror isolation setting such as Icewind Dale here. So what they've given us are player secret cards. These are things that are they can be relatively benign, such as when I encounter a baby baby yeti, they will think that I'm cool and will like me, and they'll act positively towards me. All the way up to things like you're a doppelganger. Congratulations. Here's rules for playing a doppelganger. So there's a very wide swath of secrets that your players can have. And I don't want to get into too many of them because, again, this is supposed to be a spoiler-free review. But this is something I'm going to be trying to incorporate in games I run in the future, where I want things to be a little more cutthroat, a little more who can we trust, players giving each other shifty side eyes, because this is a really cool concept, and I'm hoping that we're going to see more of this kind of thing. The environmental effects, which the Arden out there is calling out, the environmental challenge rules are going to be really cool too. And it has rules for avalanches, which can be run as rock slides in warmer environments. It has rules for blizzards, and it rehashes from the DMG the cold weather rules and I think the cold swimming rules. So you have all of these things in there that this is going to be a very, very cold adventure for you. and it's worth checking out. It also has rules for how fast you can go, how far you can go in an hour if you're traveling with dog sled, snowshoes, or just hoofing it. Whether you're traveling over the tundra or traveling over mountains, they give you some really nitty-gritty things that you can use, not just in Icewind Dale, but throughout your entire setting. If you're at Neverwinter and a blizzard hits, well, now you need to know how fast you can go into Neverwinter Wood. So having this kind of stuff broken down is a really, really cool idea. I am super excited to see what kind of stuff they're going to be breaking out with, and how some creative DMs out there are going to be using this. And then finally, for the good things that I want to highlight today, because again, if you're a DM, buy this book. It's really good. The puzzles. Oh my gosh, the puzzles are amazing. It is not just a sphinx asking you a riddle and like, oh yes, you have passed. Congratulations, I will not eat you. It is much more than that. There are puzzles in there that require certain actions. That these actions might run it contrary to the characters that you are playing. They might be making them force your characters to think differently, to question everything they know, to act against their normal character archetypes to finish this thing. It's a sacrifice. They have to do something hard to do this. You have to earn this victory. And I think that's going to be really cool for seeing how that breaks down. This tends to be later game material for that kind of puzzle, but there are a bunch of them everywhere else. So check those out if you're playing the game. Once you run into that section, you'll probably be hating it. DMs, you're going to love it because they'll be like, oh yeah, this is some really cool stuff in here. And I'm excited to see just how this is going to get run. So I've been piling a lot of praise onto this book. There are two things in particular that I'm hesitant to be excited about. And they're not insurmountable by any means. But I think that it might be it's going to require a little bit of work on the DM's perspective to make things go. Flat out at the very beginning, and they even mentioned it a couple times this weekend, this is a sandbox adventure. This is not something that you are going to want, that you're going to really be able to run if this is your first adventure to go with. I would not run this for new DMs. Take a little bit of time, run some other stuff, and make this your second or your third adventure up, because this is, your players can literally go in any direction and go with anything to go do this. There's not a very rigid storyline where you need to go. That said, it is doable. Sandbox adventures can be a lot of fun, and I really like them. But it is something that new DMs need to keep in mind. If you do a lot of work, if you do a lot of prep work before you know all the towns that you're going to be going into, you should be okay. But just know you need to know this book. You need to know everything that's going on with it, because your players will completely ruin your plans and run off and decide to go do something that you didn't even expect them to do this session. You were expecting to be 3 or 4 sessions down the road. That's my biggest complaint about this, is that it could be a little harder for new DMs to run. The other thing that is absolutely it's a little harder, it's going to require a lot more tweaking, is the overall pacing of the book is a little weird. Chapters 1 and 2 are focused on the 10 towns, which are the main human settlements in Icewind Dale. I believe they're the only actual human settlements in Icewind Dale that are permanent. And Chapter 2 is about overall Icewind Dale geography, various going around and playing in this huge sandbox that you set up. That will get you through level 5 or 6, depending on how you slice that. Maybe even higher, depending on how everything goes. What should I name my Icewind Dale character be named? Igor Dyatlov or Robert Falcon Scott? Okay. So you're going to get up 7. There we go. Thank you, Shalrath. So that'll get you up higher, but that's 7 levels of sandboxing. But there are some cool plot threads for you to be pulling on, and you're sort of building the world to go there. It's a slower start to actually get onto the main storyline, if that would be, but you get there eventually. There's some really cool set pieces in there that you're going to do. You're going to have some really big, cool fights and cinematic moments. You're going to go really cool places, and then at Chapter 8, it kind of screeches to a halt. I think it's not insurmountable. There are ways to try and fix that, but it's anybody who's read it will recognize kind of what I'm talking about, and I don't want to go into any spoilers on what it is, but yeah, it's when you get out of the place and you go to another place and like, oh, yeah, that kind of shifts everything. You're no longer going on a wild adventure. You're now just wandering through this place again. Again, it's not insurmountable. A good DM can probably figure out a way to make that work for their team. but it is something you need to keep in mind. If you're just running straight out of the book, it's going to have some problems. So that's, again, bottom line, the book is great. I really love some of the things that are in it. I love what they're doing, it's kind of the direction that they're taking Dungeons & Dragons by sort of experimenting with different kinds of books. And it's not just another, we're going to walk through the Forgotten Realms and fight dragons and go and fight goblins and stuff. It is a creative book. It's very interesting. The lore is fantastic. And there's some really great stuff. Hello, Volunteers Workshop. Hola to you, too. So check out the book. If you are a DM and you're planning on running it, or even if you just aren't planning on running it, you want to just have some cool rules, it's definitely worth picking up, whether you get it digitally with the original art cover or the alt art cover. Both of those are still widely available right now. I got the alt art because, come on, that's great. And otherwise, I really hope that you guys have a good time reading it and playing the game. I want to see, if you guys do end up playing the games, let us know in our Discord how you ended up faring, what you thought about any of the boons or the problems that I mentioned, and we'll love to hear back from you guys. So that's the end of the Icewind Dale review. We can definitely have a more in-depth conversation on the Discord if anybody wants to talk about some more spoiler stuff. But because I can't say skip ahead video because it's live, I don't want to be spoiling stuff for our viewers. So the last bit of news that I want to break for you guys before we take a quick break and come back with the interview with Anna and Shannon is tomorrow for the Velkin Weave. We have a new Dungeon Master. It's Grant Ellis. If you are familiar with Grant's work, he does some really cool stuff. He's affiliated with WebDM, but now he's going to be working with us. It's going to be some really cool times. I'm really looking forward to just sitting on my couch and watching the Velkin Weave crew go on some wild adventures with Grant. So Grant, I'm so happy to have you be a part of the team. Everybody else, check them out tomorrow. It's going to be a really fun show. And yeah, if you guys would check them out, I believe I'm starting a few. Oh, I see. So yeah, it should be a good time. And Grant's a really good DM, so I'm very, very excited to see what the crew is going to end up doing. Some weird wind buffeting off my mic. Yeah, I've been having some mic problems on that. It's been a weird problem, but thanks. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take a 10-minute break here. I need to readjust some slides here to get everybody into the OBS studio here. So we'll be back in 10 minutes, and you guys sit tight, and we'll be back with a interview with Shannon and Anna. Hey everybody, welcome back. So it is still the Games Tavern Happy Hour. Tonight we're joined by Shannon and Anna. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff, not just the heist, which we will get to, but also just hey, what are you two up to? Tell us a little bit about you. That just show us who you are. But I have been watching the heist. I think the last episode ended on a really interesting note, so I'm super excited.
Real interesting though. I'm so excited to see how that all plays out. Yeah. I'm sure Jacob didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, when he was on with us, he was saying it's like this is the thing I've been wanting to pepper in a little bit, and I just the dice just happened to come up for this moment, and it ended horribly and wonderfully.
Yep.
So
yep.
I thought it ended quite well. I think this is a great way to proceed. Yes.
So
amazing.
So before we go too hard into the heist there, Anna, I know you're a regular on in Games Tavern stuff, so I'm going to be directing a lot of questions towards Shannon, but I'll be trying to get you into this too. Just don't want to monopolize everybody's screen time on that one. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I believe you've answered this one, Anna, have you not? But let's give us a refresher.
In the past.
Okay. So for anybody who's not seen that episode, what is tell us a couple of things about yourself. What is what brings you around?
I grew up in the Chicago area. I moved to Virginia about 6 years ago. I'm very new to D&D. I only started playing last year with these crazy characters. Basically, I had friends who'd been involved in the game for years, and they'd mentioned it at times. And I was a little bored, so when somebody was posted that they were starting a new campaign, I messaged Reed back, and I said, "Hey, do you mind that I have absolutely zero experience?" And Reed said, "No, we do not," and that was about the end of it.
Yeah, everybody starts somewhere. Well,
here we all are. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been hanging out for about 9 months now. Is that's how long this?
About a year, almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I think our campaign started in October.
Something like that. Yeah, I was on the other campaign, so I didn't actually get to interact with you playing until we started.
That's true.
WMD.
Yeah, we probably met around Christmas at that Christmas party where we met Shannon too.
Yes, I remember that. It was so much fun.
That was a good time. So, Shannon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for anybody who's not a regular viewer of your programs or your projects?
Sure. Yeah, so hi everybody. My name is Shannon. I am from Paradise RPG. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary as well. Our 52nd episode is going to be in 2 weeks on October 5th. Wow, math. October 5th. I just cannot believe it's already been a year. We had episode 50 last night, which is just so surreal and just amazing. This community is wonderful. I've met so many cool people. We've met so many cool people like you guys through the D&D community. So by day, I'm a first grade teacher, and I'm all virtual right now, so that's been real fun. It actually has been fun. My kids have been amazing adapting to all the technology and all the challenges and just going with the flow. They're amazing. But by night,
streaming gear now, so that's
yeah, exactly. I know. I have. Right? I know. Yeah, I don't have my green screen up usually, but I have a picture of Scarlet, my character in Paradise RPG, and she shows up in the frame, and they're all like, "Who's that?" So I was like, "Oh well, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and that is my character." So every Monday night I play my fiery rogue Scarlet, whose real name is actually Rowan, and that is who I named my heist twin after. So yeah, I play a lot of D&D. I love it. It's just, I love storytelling. I love meeting new people and acting and performing. And there was another thought that I had, and it just went right out of my head. It's been that kind of day. So
yeah, hopefully it'll come back. I get you.
It's only Tuesday.
I mean, but weeks are months long at this point, so who cares? It's all good. So, how did you actually end up getting into D&D and RPGs? Because it sounds like you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, okay, that is where my thought was. Thank you for bringing that thought back. Appreciate that. So I've actually only been playing for about 2.5 years. The DM over at Paradise, Sean, he is my DM for a home campaign that we started about 2.5 years ago. So he's the one that actually got me into D&D, and I am forever grateful for that. And he's spoiled me from the beginning with lore and amazing terrain and maps and visuals and rich descriptions, and that I immediately fell in love with the game, and we wanted to play more because we just had our home campaign about a year ago that was just like, we're playing this every once in a while. It's really hard to schedule time. We want to play more. And so Paradise RPG was born. And now I have streams literally every week. And it's amazing.
There you go. And Anna, you said that you've been doing it for a year since Reed put up the, hey, I need players. Who wants to join? Did you have any other gaming experience before you started D&D, or is this pretty much where you learned your dice rolling skills?
This is pretty much it.
Okay. Same question for you.
It's all your fault.
Well, I'm going to blame Rob. He was in your other campaign.
It's true. Robin Reed. It's all Robin Reed's fault.
Yeah, Reed's a good fall guy for a lot of problems. Yeah. How about you, Shannon? Did you have any sort of nerd hobby background before you got into this?
So this has been the biggest gaming nerd aspect of things, but like I love Disney, I love Harry Potter, I love fantasy and Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and all of that. So I was very into all of that before I got into D&D, and then just, it just all came together in one beautiful game, and now I cannot get enough of it. And I cannot get enough of dice either. I have so many, and I want more.
We have the question there, is Anna also a dice goblin? So I'm assuming you have a large collection of dice there, Shannon, that people know about.
Let me show you. I have my Bailey's bag of holding full of dice.
Holy cow.
Yes, and it's heavy, but it's not nearly full enough, and this doesn't include all the ones that are on my dice tray, which is made by Volinar's Workshop, who I see in chat. Hi, friend.
Yeah, Volinar makes some cool stuff. All right, and Anna, you have just the one set of dice there, or do you have, how many sets of dice do you got, Anna? Just
maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
I wanted enough to make sure that I didn't have to roll dice 5 times in order to do sneak attack.
That's fair.
Oh,
yeah,
very, very smart.
At hand, I have 3 of like their weird limited edition box set dice. Yeah, and that's full of dice right behind me. And there's another one right behind it. Yeah, I've got
dice are the best.
Oh,
Metal dice are my favorite. I love how heavy they are.
Yeah, that's
of course. Ironically, with the advent of all this virtual gaming, I've been mostly using digital dice.
Digital dice aren't fair. They cheat. They give you your GM has control over them. Roll physical.
I prefer the shiny math rocks.
Well, you said you have metal dice. What kind of metal do you have there, Shannon?
Metal.
They're
heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, silver metal. I have ones that are pink and silver, and then I have ones that are like orange and yellow and red and gold for Scarlet's Fire, which is pretty cool.
All right, yeah, that's. Have you ever been to any of like the PAX Unplugged conventions or any of the gaming conventions?
I have never been to a convention, and then COVID happened, and I don't know when I'm going to get to one, but holy crap do I want to go to one, because I want to meet all of you people in person.
Yeah, 2021, I'm hoping it's going to be good.
Right?
Oh, hell yeah.
You're going to dress as Scarlet, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I got all the pieces of my cosplay. I just have to put it all together.
Excellent.
Because the reason I bring up conventions is because there's some things there that you can handle that you would never actually handle in real life, because I'm never going to order tungsten dice. But you can go to a convention and be like, oh, this D20 weighs 5 pounds. That's fantastic. I want this. How much? It's a set of them. I think was running like $650. It's insane.
Oh man, I should not be allowed then, because I will spend way too much money.
Oh, don't worry. You can buy smaller dice or regular dice for smaller price brackets. Just
I will buy all the dice, all of the dice.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a worthwhile thing. I picked up what is it? I wish I had it on me. But it's a travel mug that was full of dice, and it has like a battle corgi being ridden by a fairy or something.
Oh, that's awesome!
I think Anna, you've seen my mug of too many dice, right?
I'm not sure I have, actually.
Okay, well, I'll bring it out next time. I'll have it behind me for next time I'm on the stream.
All right.
So what is it about? Trying to shift back to my prepared topics. Do either of you DM at all, or is this something you're interested in doing? With only a year or 2 years in your experience, I wouldn't expect you to, but I know that Jacob got it and started immediately DMing.
Yeah,
you'll surprise people.
Well, if I remember Stefan's interview correctly, he actually started as a DM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of them jumped in on that one, which is not how I'd recommend playing the game, but sure.
Yeah, I DM'd for kids in the before times when I was at school in person, and we did like a lunch club once every other week, a lunch and recess club, and they loved it. And I absolutely love doing that, but I do not think I am ready to do it for grown-ups. I don't think I'm quite ready. I'm a #forever player.
Fair enough. Anna, do you have any aspirations of sitting on the cool side of the screen?
I admit, not particularly. It would be fun to play God, but I don't think I'd do a very good job of it.
Yeah, it's more stressful than fun, but yeah, it's there. But it's a good time.
I think you can tell sometimes when the DM is enjoying knowing something that the players don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, being part of streams and having been in multiple campaigns, I'm assuming there's something about this hobby that you all enjoy. Carrie would enlighten us as to why you keep spending too much money on plastic rocks and dedicating too much time to make-believe and anything else that our parents were telling us was going to be bad.
I love stories. I love being part of stories. I love telling stories. And I love acting. I love performing and bringing characters to life. So the role play aspect of D&D was really appealing to me, and still is to this day. That's still my favorite thing about this game, as well as collecting the math rocks. But the role play is where it's at for me.
Anna? What's keeping you around?
I enjoy the collaborative storytelling, and I also enjoy having the regular company. I think a lot of D&D would be a lot less fun if I were playing with a different group.
Yeah.
And I also appreciate my job. I sit in an office and work with computers all day. So before COVID hit, I really appreciate the fact that we would go and sit at a desk without computers and do something that had nothing to do with computers for 3 hours. Of course, now we're streaming, so that's a little bit different.
That's definitely one of the big appeals for me.
I appreciate the non-machine aspect of it.
Yeah. This isn't too bad. It's it feels like you're very, very thin inside of a piece of glass on my computer, but we're in the real, we're in the same space.
Yeah, it's a conversation. We're all there. Yeah. I also love the community aspect of it.
Yes.
I when we got on Twitter a year ago, we were immediately welcomed with this big nerd hug, and it was like, welcome, you're here, join, do your thing, and check our stuff out too if you want. But you're amazing, and it was just just so wonderful and so genuine and positive, and I needed that in my life, and it's become such a huge part of my life.
Yeah, that's something I'm still shocked by, just how absolutely warm and accepting the community is. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Anna has been on fire on social media, just playing all of the it's this day, so I do this kinds of retweets, or it's that day, so I'm doing these kinds of shout outs. But Anna's figured it out, and I have no idea. So you want to give us a little insight into how you figured all that out, Anna? How you plugged into the community so fast?
Well, I noticed there were certain trends that I try to keep people entertained and amused, and I remember once I told a coworker that the way to get ahead was to help other people.
Yeah.
Like, what you do for others will come back to you. So I try to do things like the self-promo Saturdays, the Flow Fridays. I find that when you help other people, you also tend to help yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very fair. A whole karma yin-yang kind of thing. That makes a lot of sense. So, given that you're both new players, I'm expecting the answer, or newer players, I'm expecting the answer to be no. But have you played in any other systems, or are there systems out there that you've heard of that you think might actually be a fun fit, or something you want to try, just to get yourself out of the Forgotten Realms and see what Paranoia has to offer?
So 90% of my D&D experience has been homebrew, so I really don't know that much about Forgotten Realms. Because all of Sean's worlds that I've played in for the long campaigns are homebrew, and a lot of the tables that I've played at since then have been homebrewed. But I have played a game of Powered by the Apocalypse, which was fun. But I really want to try Vampire the Masquerade and Call of Cthulhu.
Okay. I haven't played Vampire the Masquerade. I did a Vampire the Masquerade LARP.
Oh, cool.
That was an interesting time.
Yeah.
But the Call of Cthulhu game, I've played some of that, and that's also a very interesting one. It's like a percentile dice as opposed to a D20. So it's it's a different world. It's really cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Anna? Where are you cheating on? What other games are you getting in?
How am I cheating on WMD?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, we did that Star Wars one shot with Rob. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do
and
now.
I once did a one shot with it was Vital Hit. They did a one shot in Eberron that I played in.
Fun.
So, yeah. But most of my experience in the Forgotten Realms. So.
Are there any games out there any systems that sort of piqued your interest? You're like, hey, that could be a cool thing to do mechanically.
Not particularly. I haven't gone looking.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get below that level, you're like, man, I like how this game is working, but the mechanics of like Gumshoe, ooh, that could be fun. I want to play Gumshoe.
I take it back. Call it Cthulhu. I wouldn't mind doing a one shot in there. I remember you did that one with Pond Plays, and that looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. We'll have to look into.
I've spent the bulk of my time boning up on the Forgotten Realms to do a good job in the stream. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, given that both of you are pretty well plugged into the social media, I'm sure that you've seen some of the debates that happen out there with social media stuff. Whether it's house rules versus rules as written, established settings versus homebrew, alignment. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it pointless? Is it worthwhile? How you build your characters, attribute rolling or buying. And there's a bunch of other like passionate debates out there, and this is a question I like putting up to anybody. So either of you, whoever wants to start this one, are there any of these that you are a party of, or that you feel strongly about something that is going to get through the comments angry?
I gotta think about that one. What were the options that you said before?
These are just examples, but there's the house rules versus rules as written, alignment, attribute generation methods.
Yep. Okay.
The validity of elves as playable characters, things like that.
Yeah, I am a big proponent of rule of cool. I love the rule of cool, and if as long as it's advancing the story and it doesn't exactly follow the rules or the guidelines or the mechanics, I am totally okay with that because it's what makes a good story. And I just love that D&D, you can do anything in D&D, literally anything, and I love the sandbox aspect of that. And so I will die on that hill of you can do whatever you want as long as you can prove it.
That's fair. Yeah, that's
cool.
and a rule.
As long as you can prove it.
Yeah,
prove it, like maybe not prove it. Maybe like as long as you can make a good case for it as to why it should be in the story.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of. I kind of fall on rule of cool is applicable, but with very strict limitations. Like, oh well, technically you can't use this thing to do that. But the idea is good enough, so yeah, I'll give it to you. Yeah. But if it's it'd be really cool if I ran up this wall and sucker punched the dragon. It's like no, get out of my table.
Yeah. There are limitations, but if it's cool, if it's awesome, let's go for it.
All right, that's fair. Anna, any debates that you are feeling particularly passionate about? Just like, no, all signs are great. I love it.
Alignment is actually something I don't like very much. Like, it's fun to talk about a little bit, but I feel it's limited, and it makes you put characters in boxes where they don't necessarily belong.
Yeah, that's, I know I've espoused several times on how I think alignment's a weird vestigial organ, like, experience points. Because it kind of is. There's no real rules backing up for alignment. It's just a thing you have to have now.
And I like that. I like that it gives you a springboard to start off when you're building a new character. Like if it gives you like the personality traits and some place to start. Yeah. And I like that it's fluid. Like your character, like Anna said, it's not a person. You're not in one box. It's not, or at least I don't think it should be in one box. It's a sliding scale. Like you could start a campaign as something, but then you could. As the campaign goes on, your alignment can shift, and that's what people do. So, I think it should be a sliding scale.
Yeah.
And when you're in a long-term campaign for a stream where you're trying to tell a story and not just crawl through a dungeon in a one-shot, I think it's very important that your character does learn and grow precisely because there's no story otherwise.
Right. Well, that's why I play the really long-lived races. So character development happens, but it happens over a period of decades. So whatever. You're going to know this guy. Whatever. Who cares?
So Adrian's going to always be the same, huh?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know. So we have a question from the audience. It's Light of the Moon Gaming. Are there any classes that you haven't tried yet that you are interested in playing?
Yeah, Artificer. Artificer. I have not tried that one yet, and I really want to do that one. That one and Blood Hunter.
What is a Blood Hunter? I've seen that, and I've just been like, yeah, it's Wild Man. I don't need to click
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a ton of research on it, but I know there's like some. I mean, it's. I'm not even gonna try and explain it because I don't have enough knowledge. It just sounds really cool, and I want to do more research on it. Yeah.
Okay. Anna?
Wizard would be interesting. I also think a fighter or ranger would be fun.
That's fair.
So I did a ranger for a one-shot with Corey, the Barber Silvery Moon.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and so she was actually very like Zatara during the fights, and that she would just go in and tear everything apart. And I thought that was a lot of fun, just to be the person in front leading the charge for a change, because Turging is just to hang in the background with her crossbow. She doesn't want to die.
Yeah, it's important to get a variety of gaming experiences. Oh, here we go. We have the Stephanator and Volnar's Workshop chiming in with Blood Hunter is a monster hunter, or it's basically Matt Mercer's 5e adaptation for The Witcher.
Okay. Yeah. Now I really want to play that because I love The Witcher.
Okay. Books, game, or show?
Show. I have it. I have the books on my list as well as the game. Eventually, I'm not a huge video gamer, but I think I would enjoy RPG games.
Yeah, that's. I highly recommend picking up Skyrim just because it's a decade old and it's amazing.
Yeah, I've been told I'd like that.
I've played probably about 1,000 hours of that game. It's
It can get addictive.
It is. Anna, Anna and Shannon for this one, since we both answered the last one. How about any races that you guys are interested in playing out there? Because I think you both have, or at least Anna, both the characters I've seen you as have been humans.
Nope.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. The twins are half elves, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I like to play humans, half elves, elves, the more humanoid type races. I've played in an ASMR once, and I want to play it again because I really liked that race. So I think, I don't know, I'm going to look for more opportunities to play my ASMR that I have because it was a lot of fun.
What about the ASMR made it a cool thing for you?
I'm a huge Critical Role fan. And I love Yasha's story. I love that the fallen aspect of an ASMR, and I love that there's like a redemption that could happen, and like just that story is so rich with emotion, and those are the kinds of stories that I like to tell. So I love, the darker the backstory, the more for me. So I feel like ASMR fits really well within that. That camp that I like to play. Okay,
sure, yeah. Any other races or class combos that you think would fit into that kind of well, or? Because you probably fit it into anything really.
Yeah.
But that's that makes sense.
Yeah, when I played my ASMR, she was a monk, and that was a lot of fun. I do like monks. I like a lot of the martial class. I prefer martial classes over spellcasting classes. Not because I like the spells and I think they can do cool things. I just forget things way too much, and it's easier for me to remember, hit dice and damage dice and things that I can do to cause damage.
Yeah, that's. I was hesitant to play a spellcaster until I picked up the official cards that they have. It's like, oh, these are all the spells I have. I lay them out in front of me when these are the ones I have prepared.
Oh, okay.
So
I think I need to get into that. I think I need to. That would be really helpful because I'm a visual kind of person.
Playing on the computer, it's a lot different because if you have your D&D Beyond one up, it's like, oh, hey, I can look at that. That's fine. But for playing around the table, I like to have my phone away.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, these are the spells I have prepared. Cool, I can run with this.
Yeah. I will say I love wild magic sorcerers.
Right. The randomness.
Love wild magic. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Just because it's unpredictable?
Yeah, it is unpredictable. Yep, and literally anything can happen.
Story.
Exactly. Yep, and I love, being able or having to incorporate whatever the surge does into my role play. Like when I played a wild magic sorcerer before, her skin turned blue. and so I had to, I incorporated that into my role play, and like it was just a lot of fun. I love that spontaneous, like, okay, now you have to figure out a way to include this into your role play. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like having, it's very much the same reason why I like having, why I feel like losing is important from the player side. Because if it's always everything goes exactly the way you want, well, this isn't fun anymore. This is us just writing a novel together. But it's like, oh, I do this thing, and then I do this thing. And it's really cool. High five.
Yeah.
But having some things go against what you're hoping to have happen, whether you lose, even all the way up to like killing a character, I like that kind of stuff just because it adds in more and it forces the players to get creative.
Yeah, I agree.
How about you, Anna? Back to the original question of are there any
sorry,
races
I took that on a tangent.
It's fine. That's what we're here for. Any races out there that you want to once Terja shuffles off to go do retire or whatever, that you want to replace her with?
Terja's 23. I hope she doesn't retire anytime soon.
Gets hit by a fantasy bus. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, no, not really. I've played humans, half elves, and a dwarf once, but yeah. I just don't know enough about the other races off the top of my head to say, oh, I'd love to play this one, or no, that one was terrible.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I would probably pick more, like, the classes matter more to me, and then I might pick a race based on advantages to whether it's advantages or disadvantages to playing that class. But no races really stand out as being particularly awesome or terrible.
Fair enough. So how about before we move into the heist, and we're about to get there, because that's clearly what the people want. We're here for what other like creative outlets or hobbies do you guys end up having? What do you kill time for when you're not at work?
I am a tap dancer, so I do that. I love to dance. I've been doing it ever since I was little, and my husband built me a tap studio in the basement so I can tap whenever I want. So that's been awesome.
That's dedication.
Yeah. He's amazing. And what else do I do? I like to write. I love writing tragic backstories for my characters. That's been a lot of fun. And just being on social media and seeing all of the awesome creations and content that people are creating.
Fair enough. Anna, what's your creative? What do you do to scratch your creative itch?
I've done a lot of craft work at one point or another, so I can knit and crochet. I've been getting into sewing. I used to do a lot of jewelry work, like string jewelry, metal, macrame, lanyards.
Cool. Macrame, okay.
Very cool.
It might macrame not be the right word. The hemp bracelets.
Oh, yeah.
The friendship style bracelet kind of things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to make those too. Those are a lot of fun. Very calming.
I've been to some.
Painting minis. I like doing that too. That's very therapeutic.
Really? Well,
painting minis.
I have a closet of minis that I need painted.
Nice.
I
I do too. I've done it, but it just, I don't know. I have to motivate myself to go do it and then when I'm there, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I should do this more often. And then it's 6 hours go by and it's like, oh damn.
Intentions.
Yeah.
There are always way more things to do than time to do in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not I don't particularly enjoy painting minis, but I refuse to play with unpainted minis, and paying someone else to paint my minis is cheating. So, I have I have an orc army that has been sitting on my shelf for a year that and it's like, oh, that's 150 minis that I have to paint.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Looks like we actually got some questions in the chat, but they're coming from Reed, so feel free to ignore them. All right, so first up, what is an action sequence you've always wanted your character to do that it has not done yet? I'm assuming he means something like, I shoot my crossbow with a rope attached and then swing across and drop down like Errol Flynn and stab a guy in the neck. Or I'm assuming like that kind of like wacky Rube Goldberg kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feel free to interpret that question how you want.
It's a good question. For Scarlet, my original rogue, she has this ability called Erupted Flesh, because she's a lava genasi. So Sean recently nerfed it, and I'm not happy about it, but whatever. So it used to be a bonus action, but it's an action now. As an action, I can cast Erupted Flesh, and my skin will crack like magma, like lava, and so it looks really cool. And people around me, enemies that are around me, will take fire damage. And I've done a couple of things with it, but I'm always looking for more. Stefan is not OP.
It sounds OP is what I'm hearing.
It absolutely is. But you know what? I use it in cool ways, and I want to continue to use it in cool ways. I just love the idea of like, she's going in for the kill or something, and she like casts it right at the same time as she sinks her dagger into the into her target, and it's just epic music plays in the background and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, no, that sounds like fun. Anna, anything you've been wanting your one of your characters to get off and do?
Not a combat sequence, but I have wanted to find a situation to be really creative for a good way for Turge to use mage hands. So far, she's used it, but she hasn't really used it in any particularly interesting ways. So, like a situation where she has to pick somebody's pocket, you put something in somebody's pocket, or unzip a dress, or just something fun.
Okay, yeah, that.
She hasn't had a really good excuse to do anything like that yet, unfortunately.
All right. Yeah, it's we'll keep an eye out. I'm sure that we'll get something cool coming up soon. So
yeah,
now,
I also,
especially since listening. Yes, God is listening. Hi, God.
I also really want to do in the Paradise stream. I really want to do like a masquerade ball. I've played a couple of those in one shots, and including the heist, and it's just like. I don't know what it is about them, but I love them. I think they're awesome. You get to dress up and wear pretty clothes and wear a mask, and I don't know. It's just a lot of fun.
Technically, the heist ball is not a masquerade.
Oh, okay. That's right, it wasn't. I'm thinking of something else. But any ball, big party in general that Scarlett has to put a dress on for, that'll be interesting.
Fair. Masquerade balls are fun. In one of the LARPs I was in years ago, we would do a yearly one, and it was always a good time. So I'm a big fan of putting on a mask and going pretending to be someone else while pretending to be someone else. So, hey. So, speaking of the heist, because this seems like a good enough segue here, how did each of you guys end up actually getting hooked up with this crew? This is a kind of an interesting mix. We're hosting, so I think that's how Anna hooked up, but please tell me I'm wrong and tell us how it happened. Whoever wants to start, doesn't particularly matter.
We both got pulled in by, who was it again? Was it Shadow Master?
Shadow DM?
That's it.
I think it originally started on Rolls for Advantage's Rogues Discord channel, and then Shadow DM was there, and then he had an idea to do an all Rogues heist thing, but then some personal things came up and he wasn't able to do it, and Reed was like, I'll do it, let's do it. And so,
so I was the one who turned Reed onto it, and then Reed was the one who pulled in Jacob, and I think I was the one who pulled, was it you or me who pulled in Stefan? Probably you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because he was also in that Discord server, so, and with the Rogues.
Right.
Well, interesting. That's sort of a weird, comedy of errors that got it to where it is. But hey, it's working out. It's a fun show to watch. So I'm glad
it's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
Jacob has been doing an excellent job. I think we put together something really fun. So
Jacob, we love you. You're doing a great job.
Stefan is saying he was in the whole time. So
yes, he was. He was stealthing. Yep, the whole time. Mm-hmm. Had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like with the Christmas party they mentioned at the very beginning when we all initially met, I thought it was an actual Christmas party open house. So I showed up with a bottle of wine and wearing a stupid Christmas sweater. I'm like, hey, what's happening here? It's like a meeting.
What do you mean this is a business meeting? Nobody told me that.
Reed broke out a PowerPoint and everything, and it was just.
Yeah, that PowerPoint was very nice, Reed.
Very professional.
Yes, very.
Oh, and now we have people screaming Duval in the chat. Anyway, so everybody I know preps for their own sessions differently. I know I do a lot of ignoring my character sheet until about 3 minutes before we go live. Or, I don't take notes or anything. I just ignore everything. I'm hoping you guys are slightly more responsible than I am and can lean us in a little bit about what is your method to be getting ready for the individual actual each stream before, whether it's Paradise RPG, Whiskey Magic Construction, or the heist. What do you do to get into character?
So for Scarlet, I have a weekly routine of putting on a Spotify playlist that I made for her. And it's just songs that make me think of her and make me think of her story. So I'll put that on while I'm putting my Scarlet makeup on. And I didn't always do makeup because I generally don't like to wear makeup because it just takes so long to put on. It takes so long to take off, and it looks great when it's on, but it's such a massive effort. And so I don't usually wear it. But I had gone to a Paradise stream after coming off of something where I had to wear makeup. And I remember my RP being like so much different that night because I had makeup on and it was, a part of a costume. And that really helped me get into character. So that's when I started putting the music on and putting the makeup on. And it's, I've been slowly perfecting what I want to have on. I've got a lot of glitter now, which is really fun. And then for the heist, Anna reached out as soon as we decided we were going to play, and she's like, "You want to be twins?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be twins." So then we just started talking, and my other redheaded rogue was born. Although this Rowan, this on the heist, is a lot more outgoing than the other one. She's less broody.
Okay. How about you, Anna? How do you get into character for either of your characters that you're streaming at the moment?
Typically I try and sit down at least a half hour before the stream and go through like some of the previous notes from the last couple of sessions to make sure I'm fresh up on what was just happening, and I go through my character sheet, though not so much now since I'm more used to playing. I mean, before I was still fairly new to the game. I'd never played Arcane Trickster before. I'd never had to cast magic spells in the game before, so that was part of the wanting to refamiliarize myself with what I could do. And try to get into the mindset as well. I don't have specific music for Turja, but there are definitely certain things I can think about her background that put me sort of in the mood.
Yeah, that's fair. I find that having whatever character it is I'm playing, having some kind of an event that's like, all right, I know that they would feel melancholy about this kind of thing, so I'm going to go and listen to Chopin's Prelude Number 4. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, then my night's ruined, but I'm in character. It's great.
Yeah,
being able to have those music. Kind of emotional touchstones. That's a trick I picked up when I was LARPing. But being able to be like, okay, this scene calls for me to be angry. What's something that makes me angry? And being able to pull that up.
I definitely use music like that too. I just made a playlist that's called Cry on Cue. That just when I listen to it, if I have a really emotional scene coming up, I'm going to throw that on beforehand and be like, all right, let's cry.
That works. I don't think I've heard of that, being prepped to cry like that, but that's a good one. Okay.
Well, Scarlet had some pretty emotional stuff going on in the show. I can Advern is not quite in the same boat in terms of what his role demands of him.
Well, that hurts. So anyway,
but I mean, you don't have any tragic backstory that I'm aware of that you needed to cry on screen for.
Whatever. So speaking about characters, can you two explain a little bit about about the twins, how you sort of came up with the the inspiration for there, and just whatever it is that you can let us know without actually acting kind of as a spoiler, because I'm sure something will come out during the stream that's worth knowing. We don't want to take away from that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, Anna reached out as soon as we decided we were doing this and was like, let's be twins. And then we kind of just started talking back and forth on Discord, and twins were born.
I think we both wanted to play happier characters, because Turja's not that happy, and Rowan, her Scarlet is definitely not that happy. So we wanted to play fun prankster twins for this one,
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to, riff off of each other. And we met once before the stream started to be like, okay, what are some quirks that they would have? What are some sayings that they would have? And we have a document that we have up when we're streaming to okay, this is what this means and this is what this means. And when you say this, that cues me to say this, so that we are we're in sync like that.
Okay.
So I get her in.
And she gets me out.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, that works.
And so we'll coordinate a little bit during the stream, which normally would be cheating, but we're twins, so I think it's okay.
Fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, that's really helpful.
I don't remember that being a thing, but okay, sure. I'm clearly not getting the memos.
Well, just little things like, so for example, we did a pre-stream before the actual like streaming live with Jacob to just sort of get all acquainted with each other and make sure we could work together. And so our characters, we were going into a tavern. And so I suggested, hey, I suggested in private chat, how about you go in while I cover you? And Shannon said, great idea. And so then when we actually went in, like where the other characters could hear us, we had an argument about how, I'm going this time. No, you always do it. I want to go in this time instead. Yeah. And then you pulled out your rigged coin.
Yes, I did. I totally forgot about that. I made that up on the spot. I did not plan to have a rigged coin at all, and that just came out naturally.
Yes.
Which was a lot of fun.
That works, all right.
Yeah.
So not huge plotting, but just little things to help us coordinate and sound like twins.
Exactly. And my personal favorite is, I'm 7 minutes older, I'm a minute older or whatever. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm taller. I just love those little quips back and forth.
So we plotted like a few things like that, and also had to come up with some like pranks that Rowan and Holly had played as children when they were growing up, because it's very obviously a Rowan and Holly thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
So, and I think you guys kind of touched on this, but how does actually doing because you two are basically making one collaborative character together as opposed to doing two characters separately. How has that sort of impacted how you are approaching the situation? Do you feel like you might be losing some character agency on that, or it's because you two are working together, things are so much better? Would you recommend the process of teaming up for a close familiar bond like that? For other
I actually would.
I absolutely love knowing somebody to going into a game. Whenever Sean and I play together, our characters usually know each other so that we can play off of each other and develop that story. And Anna and I we like clicked instantly, and we're really, really good like playing off of each other, and like our instincts were really in sync. And I just find that kind of collaborative storytelling makes me feel more comfortable at the table, and it helps me develop my character more, like coming up with a rigged coin on the spot, that is absolutely something Rowan would have.
We ripped off each other very well overall.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, during the stream, Rowan sort of came out as she's the 7 minutes younger twin, and I feel you sort of came out as the more bouncy, exuberant, impulsive one.
Yep.
And I sort of developed I'm technically the older twin, so I was sort of, no, Rowan, don't do that, please. Come back.
But I want to. Yeah. And so our personalities, while they're different, they still work harmoniously together, and so that just makes a full family unit.
Okay, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So one of the questions we got again from the chat is, how hard was it to coordinate the cosplay as twins? Because neither of you actually had really long red hair.
Yeah, well, I had a red wig already because I had it for Scarlet. And then it was as simple as like going on Amazon being like, hey, I found this. Here's the link for it. Hey, I found this. What do you think about these elf ears or this lipstick color? And we just chatted on Discord, and it actually wasn't that hard.
Shannon came up with most of the costume. I mostly asked, Shannon, where get that wig again? And then I came up with more of the background. I was like, so do you want our characters to be born rich, middle class, poor? What sort of personalities do you think we should have? Stuff like that.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Sort of divvy up the work there.
Yeah.
Now, is this the first time that either of you have dressed up for a stream or for a character? Or?
Nope.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I love dressing up in character, especially for shorter games or one-shots. Just that really helps me get into character. When I look like the character and I look like somebody else and who I'm playing, that is peak D&D for me.
Fair enough. Anna, is this a thing that you could see yourself doing again, or just like, yeah, I've done it once and box ticked, let's go back to...
For one-shots, yes. Don't expect me to come up with a costume for Turja. Fortunately, Turja's human, so I don't really have to.
You get so much more use out of it, though. Like,
yeah. There's no way I'm putting on gray body paint every week. That's why I stick with
costume is fine. Wig, no. I draw the line at having to put on a wig every Thursday.
It's so hot.
Yeah, unless you get like really, really high quality wigs, even then they're still on the warm side. But wigs themselves are not comfortable. That's very fair.
They're fun to put on for a little bit to take pictures and then to be on stream for a little while. But any longer than like 3 hours, and my head starts screaming in protest.
Yeah, that's fair. I would see people they're always like really young kids, like 20, when I was out there, LARPing every weekend. And they'd be wearing full on wigs that are like down to their waist and have full body makeup and everything. It's like, how are you doing?
It's like, where did you have the time to do that?
How are you not dying? Like, what's happening here?
For the heist, it's like the minute we're off camera with Shannon and I are just
off. The wig is off.
Get it
wig
off
is
me.
off. Ears are off. Corset comes off. Literally, all of it comes off.
Yeah, I could see that being a good relief at the end. It's like, all right, well, we're done with that.
Yep.
So, what are the any highlights or anything from the previous 2 sessions that you're just like, this is a thing that I need to remember from my D&D journal. Like this is great. If I ever make a collage book, this is going in it.
I loved our. Okay, so I still feel bad for this poor halfling that we've conscripted into working with us for the heist. Oh my god! But I really loved. When Jacob was describing, you hear something at the window, and so and then you see a hand that's on here, and I was like, all right, Rowan's going over, and she's sticking the dagger in the hand because there's an intruder, and she's not about to let this happen, and so she just in that moment, I really felt her personality, both how deadly she is, but like how still quirky she can be. Like for anybody that watches impulsive, for anybody that watches Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm going for like a Ty Lee kind of personality with her. So like still like really sweet and but really deadly. Like don't mess with her. And I just loved being like. I don't know, like, oh my goodness, yeah, sorry you're here, and this really sucks for you, but you shouldn't have put your hand on my windowsill, dude. Wrong house.
All right, Anna, any highlights you want to share? Be like, yeah, that was my moment. I love that.
Okay, so not quite what you're asking, but I designed Holly to be like the sneak thief of the pair. The more like she's the one who scouts out the situation, and then Rowan comes in and does like the stabbing people part.
She does the dirty work.
Okay.
So she has a passive perception of 7, and Jacob has been having a lot of fun with that by saying, Holly, you hear something like 2 stories down with your infinity perception.
Yeah.
So one of the I've been really appreciating the way Jacob has been working with that and you incorporating it to make it a more fun game.
Yeah.
And also, I thought Holly had a really good two really good moments with the whole halfling episode. One was when there was a second intruder at the door, and she pretended to be his buddy to get him to walk in, and tried to whip out a portable hole and stash him in there.
Yep, that was a good one.
Forgot about that? Okay.
It didn't work, but it was a good try.
It was a very good try. The dice were not in your favor for that one. It's a good try.
So the second part I thought was a lot of fun was when she went up into the first halfling that we'd already subdued and threatened to pull a hole if he didn't tell the truth.
Yeah, that's no fun.
I remember that.
Which Stefan found a little dark, but I thought it was a very effective goad that didn't actually harm him in any way.
Right, exactly. I also loved the snowball fight in the first episode. That was a lot of fun.
So we're sort of bookending the entire adventure. All right, well, the very first thing we did and the very last thing we did. Everything else was whatever, but these things.
Yeah. I did like going to Grickery's, too, to get all of our magic items. That was a lot of fun.
Right.
And found a very nice dagger.
I did, and Rowan got to be a little bit of a spoiled brat in there, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good shopping experience. Too often those can be a little dull and dragging, but Jacob definitely did a good job at making that one interesting.
Oh, it was so much fun.
So we've talked about things that your favorite things so far. What are you hoping / expecting to happen in the final episode? And with a reminder that that Jacob is in the chat over there, so Maybe
God
he's
is
taking
listening.
suggestions.
Yes, God is listening. Chaos, pure, utter chaos is exactly what's going to happen. This poor halfling is going to, this isn't a spoiler, this happened at the end of last episode, is going to streak across the ground, thank you, the courtyard, as a distraction while we get in. And I just don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that's going to break out, but I don't see it going well for the halfling.
Neither do we. Well, he shouldn't have chosen to break into houses now, should he?
I already put a hole in his hand, so he's already having a bad day.
Yeah, that's fair. How about you, Anna? Anything that you're hoping or looking forward to happen in the next episode?
Well, I'm hoping all hell goes loose in some fashion. Like, the plan comes unraveled, something goes wrong, chaos ensues, and we have to get out. The other thing I think would actually be a lot of fun is if one of either Holly or Rowan got like captured or held up somehow, and then the other one had to go rescue her.
Ooh, yeah. That's a good one too. I think that would be a lot of fun.
So you're hearing that, right, Jacob?
You got that, Jacob?
Taking notes, God?
Yep.
Me, Anna.
Nice. Okay. Anything else about the heist that you guys feel like we should dig in a little bit more on this one? You're like, I really wanted to talk about the ball. Like, that was a really good time, or whatever things you think that we need to unpack a little bit more. We still have a little bit of time.
Yeah, I just wanna highlight how incredibly talented the entire cast is. It has been such an honor to play at Jacob's table, and with I play with Stefan every week, but it's been so awesome to play with him even more. And I remember meeting Anna and Reed at the Christmas party and being like, we got a game sometime, and it finally happened. And it's just been so much fun. And I've grown as a player, and I've taken some mental notes. I don't take actual notes, but mental notes on
actual notes for squares.
I try really hard. I have a fancy notebook and everything. I just get too involved in the story.
That's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, the cast has just been so much fun to play with.
Oh, excellent. Anything, Anna, for your things you want to talk about more about it, or?
I've really enjoyed playing with a different crew than usual. Shannon and also Stefan, and having a different DM than usual. I really, for the most part, I've only DM'd with Reed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been interesting, playing with Reed and DMing with someone else.
Yeah, having a different DM behind the screen can completely change how an adventure goes. Which is one of the reasons I'm not too worried about official adventures having spoilers, because everybody's going to approach it a slightly different way.
Right.
Like, everybody runs Strahd slightly differently, which just ends up being with we have the castle next to Strahd's now. Check it out, it's great.
Yeah. But I love that too, because you could have a situation that is the same for everybody, but like you said, everybody's going to go in it differently, and it's going to be like 5 different stories. And I just think that's just so cool.
Yeah, that's one of the big things I really like about role playing, is being able to see how different people reacted in the same situations. So it's good call there. That's a solid one.
So, like, for example, any one of us had come to the table with different characters, the story would probably be very different.
Very different.
Or if someone else was playing your character, it would be they would react entirely different.
Very true.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe we should switch with the boys, see what happens.
Oh my God, I can't do Arias's accent.
Yeah,
you have to teach me, Stefan. Arias. That's about it.
Actually,
I can't go.
That reminds me of a great moment during the heist when Holly, the thieves, breaking into the house and went to investigate, and Rowan followed her. The 2 boys were left behind, and I think Ren said to Arias, "Do you think they're making us sandwiches?"
Yeah.
And they were like, probably not. And then they went to see what was keeping us up.
Stefan, I can't roll my R's. I am incapable. See, that's what happens when I try.
Okay, all right. So, sorry. So we still have about another 10 minutes or so here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the projects you guys are working on? Whether that's Paradise RPG. I think most of our people are familiar with WMD, but feel free to plug that one also. Whoever wants to start here.
Well, I have a bunch of stuff happening this week,
Oh.
so I'll plug all that. So tonight kicked off my super nerdy week, so thank you so much for having me on and kicking off my super nerdy week. This has been so much fun. I could talk about D&D for hours and hours and hours. Thursday night, I will be modding for our wonderful DM Sean's stream, Relaxing in Paradise. It is very relaxing. He paints minis, does crafts, works on his maps. We play some Hellblade. Well, he plays Hellblade while we watch and just jump scare at everything. And so that's been a lot of fun. And then on Friday, Sean and I will be on Roll for Damage. We're starting a new campaign with the Ruffians crew that we had back in April. Yeah, it was every Friday May.
Was that when you were the monk?
Yes, that's when I was
Lydia.
Okay. Yes, my pirate monk. Pop.
Okay.
A pirate monk. Yeah. Oh God, I love Lydia. I miss her. I love all my girls. So we're starting a new campaign. So we're going to be talking about our characters coming up for that on Friday night. I will be playing a barbarian named Sloane, and I love her. I say that about all of my characters, but I love her. So then on Saturday, we have the heist. We have the heist on Saturday. Woo! Yeah. And then on Sunday, I will be playing in a charity stream with Joshua Simons. We're doing an all Disney villains game, and we're raising money for Starlight for childhood cancer. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, and then I have the Power Hour on Sunday night. So I'm busy. I got the Tim and Shan Power Hour. It's me and Tim. It's our talk show that we do every week on Sunday.
Very cool. So yeah, talk shows are in. Everybody loves talk shows.
Yeah, I love talk shows.
All right. How about Anna? You want to plug WMD, I guess, or whatever else you're working on?
Yeah, I don't have nearly as much outside activity going on as Shannon, but in terms of WMD, I think we're at a very interesting part in our storyline. We managed to arrive to the mythical library of Graven Hollow, and all the members of the party are finding out all sorts of fun things right now, both about themselves and each other.
Oh, that's the best.
So, yeah, if for those of you who weren't watching last week, Turja's background got outed by our esteemed DM to Zatara.
Nice.
And a little bit of it anyway. And if you're watching this Thursday, there should be more to come, so that ought to be interesting for everyone to see, hopefully.
Yeah, it should be a fun
Next
time.
Story reveals are the best.
Now, both the handles that I have here are these are your Twitter handles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. My Instagram too.
Oh, convenient.
And then you can find Paradise at Paradise RPG. That is spelled Paradice, like the shiny math rocks we were talking about earlier. We thought it was a pun. We thought it was funny. It stuck, and that's our brand.
It works. It's memorable. So, off stream, off camera, are you guys doing any just for fun gaming going on at the moment, or any?
Yeah, my home game that Sean started, where all of my D&D magic started, that's been going for about 2.5 years.
Oh, it's the same campaign. Okay.
Yeah, same campaign. And I've, been my first ever D&D character is my ranger in that campaign. So that's still going, and it's just so great. And we're playing with some friends from high school. So it's been a really great way to stay in touch with each other.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's nice that you still have friends from high school.
Yeah, it's them, and that's it.
Okay.
Fair enough. I think I talked.
I have a couple,
people from high school still. Yeah, that's really cool. I don't think I've been in a campaign that actually lasts multi-year. How is that?
Oh, it's amazing. And like I said, this campaign is always going to hold a special place in my heart because it was my first one ever, and I don't ever want it to end. And this was the first tragic backstory that I wrote for my ranger, and it's real tragic. And I just love, continuously adding things to it. And Sean and I wrote her story together. And so that's been a lot of fun to co-write her story and bring her to life together. And she's got a really great villain in her backstory. I love playing villains, and I love being hunted by villains. That's like, I'm all about the villains. But it's just, they're just amazing. I don't know, this going for as long as we have, we don't want to stop. We want the story to keep going.
Okay, very cool. What level are you guys if you've been going for 2.5 years?
11. I think we're level 11. And we use milestones to level up, so Sean decides. Yeah. Sean decides when we level up.
Bring up an old discussion amongst our group.
Yeah.
Milestone. Don't start a feud, Shannon, please.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I like milestones.
No, I'm gonna support the guests. Yeah, milestones. There we go. Well, very cool. Anna, do you have anything, any off-camera gaming going on, or?
No, this is it.
Okay.
I prefer doing one or two things well to doing many things poorly, so my main efforts in the gaming world are basically focused on WMD and the Games Tavern.
Oh no, you're supposed to just throw as many games at the wall until you have a mental breakdown. Like that's how I DM.
You're not making this sound attractive.
How many hours can I pour into this project before I snap and taking a shower with my clothes on?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change a thing.
No, not at all. It's you're going hard in hobby is the way to do it.
Yes, Jacob. Do all the things. All the things. Do them all.
So I know we've gotten a couple questions from the chat out there, but we are starting to run out of time here. So if there are any last minute questions the chat land wants to kick to our two guests, feel free. Otherwise, we're just gonna keep talking and see what else.
What you got, chat land?
Come on, sure you can think of something.
Need to figure out a better way to describe the chat than Chatland or people.
No, I like Chatland. I've never heard it described like that, and I want it to be described like that from now on. That's a great way to describe it. Chatland.
Not getting it.
Shannon, I know it's not about the heist, but could you tell us a little more about how you came up with your normal Rowan, your Monday Rowan?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. So Scarlet is her made-up name. Obviously, that's her rogue name. Her real name is Rowan. But so how did she come about? I knew that I wanted to play a rogue because in my home campaign we had a rogue, and I really liked the class. And I really wanted to play an edgy character. I really wanted to play like just a brooding, suave, confident kind of character. So I started with that, and then I was talking to Sean about races and what kind of race I wanted to play, and he had the homebrew Lava Genasi, and I was like, that sounds cool, let's do that. So personality came first, or actually no, class came first, then personality, then her race, and then after that I started thinking about what I wanted her to look like. Because with a Lava Genasi, their skin color can be a whole range of things. But when I first heard Lava Genasi, I immediately thought of a volcano. So I was like, all right, I want her skin to be gray, like volcano smoke.
Okay.
And then I knew I wanted her to have red hair because I loved the idea of having, she's supposed to be real sneaky, but she has bright red hair. I love how those were opposite, and I love how those played against each other. And then the name came last. I spent a lot of time on baby name websites and fantasy name generators, trying to figure out what I liked the best. And I was doing all sorts of different languages and words that meant fire or volcano or things like that. And I don't even remember where Scarlet came from. I actually think it was on a baby name website, and it just hit. And I liked the French kind of spelling of it with the TTE instead of just the ET. And yeah, my brooding rogue was born. And then that's when we started writing her story, and I wanted to make it as tragic as possible. And here we are. She's broken. Literally.
She does have a pretty tragic backstory from what I've seen in the stream. Yeah.
Yes, she does.
I'm more shocked that there are baby names websites in the 21st century offering Scarlet. Like that feels like a very like antebellum, late 1800s kind of name. But okay, cool.
Yeah, I think I ended up on like names that mean red because because I was thinking about her hair. So I think that's where I ended up on it. I forget what I originally had. I had a whole list of them.
Did you go with Cerulean as the last name? You just stick with the color scheme?
So interestingly enough, there is a reason that that Cerulean is her last name, but it has not been revealed on stream, so I cannot say.
Oh, yeah. We don't want to spoil anything for the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Anna, how did you come up with Turja?
Well, our party was missing a skill monkey, so Rogue was a pretty clear choice. We needed somebody who could pick locks.
Yeah.
And with the theme of whiskey, magic, and destruction, we wanted all of the members of the party to have magic except for Zatara. She deliberately doesn't have any as a contrast.
Okay. Very cool.
So Arcane Trickster was also a pretty easy choice. And so this got outed last Thursday, so I can tell it now. Turja is a noble.
Dun dun
Yes.
dun.
But anyway, the reason for that was originally I wanted to have some reason for my character to talk to the other characters, and I thought like having something to do with factions would be a good way to do that, because Reed brought up factions around that time as like good ways to spice up plot.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
And I figured that as a noble, Turja would be more likely to be exposed to factions in some way than if she was like a poor person or...
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. So that was why she became a noble. It wasn't because I wanted to be a hoity-toity, stuck-up character.
This is so much fun
well
to play,
when you put in the accent.
So she's been hiding it up until now. I won't go into why, but one of my favorite authors, she said she deliberately tries to introduce conflict and contrast into her story. So like there was this one book she wrote where her two main characters were supposed to fall in love and get married, and she was like, but they were from different places. So she was like, let's make these places allies in a war. No, let's not make it easy for them. Let's make them enemies.
Love it.
So I went into Turja's background, and I didn't want her to have it too easy by being a noble. So I went in there and basically put in a bunch of reasons why she would hide it.
Love it.
And then there are some other conflicts that are going to come up, but essentially those conflicts that I put in there to like take away the advantages she might otherwise have because of her background, really fill in a lot of her story and make her, as they come out on stream, I think you guys will like it. I hope.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
All right. Well, I believe we're rapidly approaching 9 o'clock and my bedtime. So I.
Yeah, mine too. I gotta teach tomorrow.
Oh yeah. So thank you again, both of you, for jumping in on the show today. Everybody out there, thank you so much. In Chatland.
Thank you, Chatland.
Thanks for chiming in and watching.
I enjoyed.
Shout out to our cast. Thank you for being in Chatcast. We love you.
Everybody was out there at some point. They might still be out there right now. So for the rest of the week, for the Games Tavern, I know tomorrow is the Welkin Weave. And again, it's going to be a great episode. We have Grant Ellis stepping in the DM role. So I am super excited to see what shenanigans he's going to throw at the party. On Thursday, Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction, you can find both me and Anna. Which way? Anna. You can find both of us on there. That's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I believe the heist is 4 p.m. on Saturday, right? I'm not misreading that? All right.
4 p.m. on Saturday for the epic conclusion.
Tune in.
Yes.
We'll enjoy it, I promise.
See the chaos.
I mean, I have nothing else to do, so I'm going to get up, put on pajama pants, and watch it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to have, from here up will be costume. I'm having pajama pants on too.
Yeah, it's 2020.
I've been wearing pajama pants.
What are real pants? I don't know. I've been wearing leggings and pajama pants and shorts.
Since March?
Yes, since March. And it's been wonderful.
All right. Well, again, thank you. Big thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you for Shannon and Anna. And everybody, please have a great night. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.